Hey everyone, I'm Kathy Kelly, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. Now this is a daily show where we break down all of the latest movie news and give you insight into what it all means. This is our Valentine's Day episode, and joining me today is senior editor of AMC Movie News, John Campia.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody, the day of love. Look what I got.
This is the day of love.
Awesome. Just for you today, I've worn my sexy underwear. I've put on my sexy attitude, and today is just going to be all about intimacy. Me and you. All right,
we also have in studio director of ABCs of Death and the upcoming documentary What Happened to the Superman Lives, John Schnepp.
What happened to Superman?
What did happen to it?
Hey, happy Valentine's Day. Everybody have some fun today.
Everybody Wang Chung tonight.
Well, let's get things started with this. As we all know, Star Trek director JJ Abrams is ramping up to direct a new Star Wars movie, Star Wars Episode 7. When his name first came up, some people expressed a little concern about the church and state violation of having a Star Trek director also direct a Star Wars movie. Apparently, one of those people is Star Trek icon William Shatner, who played the original Captain Kirk. In a recent interview with Joel Amos, a regular guest here on AMC Movie Talk, Shatner said that JJ is being a pig for hogging both Star Trek and Star Wars. But is he joking? After making a pig comment, Shatner went on to say this. He's probably the most talented director of that ilk we have, but he's gone too far this time. I think of him as a buddy of mine. I've taken him out for sushi. I think it's time for JJ and I to have another sushi, and let me put him straight about two of the largest franchises, and not employing me in either of them is just foolhardy. So, John, what do you make of Shatner's comments?
I think they're awesome. I think these are fantastic comments. I think William Shatner, when not acting, is one of the most entertaining guys on the planet. Whenever there's an opportunity to sit and listen to Shatner talk on a panel or something, you have to stop whatever you're doing and just go and listen to these guys. Look, some people were taking these comments seriously. This is him joking. You don't get to say, he's got the two biggest franchises and he's not putting me in either of them. He's clearly joking. You have to get his sense of humor. This guy is awesome, absolutely awesome. So I love what I'm reading from him. What about you, John?
Weird. I thought he was totally serious.
There are people out there who think he is.
I thought he was totally serious. It was like, JJ Abrams is a fool for not casting me in Star Trek and Star Wars. What a pig. Totally serious. Shatner? What? Yeah, it was obviously a joke. Anybody who took that seriously is really stupid.
I remember it was about
or doesn't know William Shatner or doesn't get comedy
it was
or
about
sarcasm.
6 years ago, I was in Toronto at the Toronto Fan Expo, it was called, and they had a special session of William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy doing a panel together, just the two of them. And I went, and it was one of the funniest non-intentional stand-up comedy things I'd ever seen. But it was the very first time they were talking about that the rumors of the new Star Trek movie coming, and that the lost creator JJ Abrams just been brought on to direct. And somebody asked Shatner, is there any chance you could be? And he goes, I suppose there's a chance, but he goes, honestly, I haven't had a chance to talk to Mr. Abrams yet, but he's a great director, and I don't know if I'm going to be in it or not, or what his plans are, but we'll see. And then at that point, that's when Nimoy leans in the microphone. He called me last week. And Shatner was like, are you being serious? And he goes, no, I'm being serious. He called me last week. I'm going to go meet with him and have lunch next week. And Shatner's like, what? And then Shatner goes off on Nimoy. And it was so funny and so good. So, I'm loving this stuff.
That's Shatner roast, if you never saw it on Comedy Central. Him and Nimoy's little, it's so funny. Shatner's he's got incredible comedic timing.
Yeah,
so
absolutely
he's
does.
very funny.
Okay. Well, actor Hugh Jackman has two major films coming up in which he plays the superhero Wolverine. This July, he'll appear in The Wolverine, and next July, he'll appear in XMen Days of Future Past. When asked about Days of Future Past, Jackman said that once they told him the story and that he'd be reuniting with many of the original X-Men cast, quote, there was no way I was not going to be a part of that. However, in the same interview, Jackman stressed that after Days of Future Past, he is not committed to appear as Wolverine in any more films. So Schnepp, if you're Fox Studios president, do you recast Wolverine, not include the character in future movies, or what do you do?
Well, it really depends. It sounds like if that's the case, Days of Future Past is now like the last. It's like Star Trek Generations, where they're going to try to, merge the franchises and then make a smooth transition into the next newer cast, like Episode 3 of First Class. Recasting Wolverine or just doing a complete reboot, I would imagine that after X-Men Days of Future Past, there'll be another X-Men movie with Fassbender and with the whole First Class team. And I'm also imagining Wolverine dies in X-Men Days of Future Past. It's no spoiler if you read the comic book. And, yeah, there's going to be new X-Men. I think that just makes sense, too. I mean, he's been around for 13 years now?
Yeah, it's been a while. Oh, my gosh.
13 years as Wolverine. So this will be, when this X-Men Days of Future Past comes out, it'll be 15 years of this actor playing Wolverine. So then I would imagine that there'll be another film that'll be like turned into 18 years, and then they'll do a brand new X-Men. So.
See, my first thought is if I'm the Fox president, I rent the biggest dump truck I can find. I fill it with, Nazi gold, whatever types of cash I can have, works of precious art, and throw them in there. And I back that dump truck up to Hugh Jackman's place and dump it on his front door and say, come back and play more. But when I really think about it, you're right, man. He's played this character for years. He talked in that same interview that we're referencing about how he didn't know about X-Men Days of Future Past yet. They were just about done shooting the Wolverine. And he said, all I've dreamt about for months is lasagna. Because when you look at his body, the work he has to put in every single day to keep that 44, 45-year-old body of his looking like that. Mm-hmm. You know what? My thought is now, let him go. He's earned it.
Yeah.
He has earned it. He single-handedly has kept the X franchise alive.
I agree.
He has earned the break to get away from the character now. I say recast it. Bring up I don't think you have to reboot it. I say just recast it. Let Jackman go, not because I want him to go, but just because he's earned it. He's absolutely earned it. Let him take his
But honestly,
siesta.
Think about it, though. I think you have to recast. It's got to be rebooted. I mean, every single one of those actors, it's 15 years later. None of them, I mean, you really have is like Kitty Pryde and, Colossus. I mean, every one of the other major X-Men are, going to be in their 50s by the time 2018 rolls around.
Well, they have Jennifer Lawrence and all that cast.
No, but that's what I was saying. I was saying the trilogy of X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past, and then whatever they're going to do the third movie to make a 6 X-Men movies. Then you can like box set that thing up, reboot.
I just hate prequels. But I loved X-Men First Class. Looking forward to X-Men Days of Future Past. I don't want to see another movie set before the first X-Men. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's time to reboot.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, listen, it's come to that point of the show for buy or sell. In this segment of the show, Kathy's simply going to read off a number of the other bigger issues in the world of movie news, and John and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Kathy, what do we got?
Game of Thrones star Peter Dinklage is the latest name to join the ever-growing cast of Bryan Singer's X-Men Days of Future Past. Singer himself posted the news to his Twitter feed last night, and there are rumors that Dinklage could be playing the character Puck, who in comics is a member of the Canadian hero team Alpha Flight. John, buy or sell Dinklage as Puck in X-Men Days of Future Past?
I would buy him as Colossus. I would. This guy, I mean, look, the unfortunate reality is there's not a lot of roles for Dinklage out there. And so if you could, but I'd buy him in anything. This guy, for me, look, everybody loves Game of Thrones, and I really love the first season, but I wasn't thrilled with the second season. The reason I kept watching it all the way through to the end was him. His performance in that blows my mind. Whenever he's on screen, my eyes are glued to the television. He's just so good at what he does. Puck is an interesting character. Alpha Flight is a great, actually in the comics, they're a great comic. Puck is an interesting character, so yeah, I buy it. I absolutely buy it.
Yeah, I'd buy it too. Dinklage, I'd rather him play MODOK in the Iron Man series. He would be the best face of MODOK, period.
I hadn't thought of that.
But yeah, he's an incredible actor. I've thought he was amazing since I saw him in The Station Agent. He's a great actor, and I loved Game of Thrones season 2. I mean, those green flame battle sequence at the end.
That episode was great.
Yeah,
that was a great episode.
So yeah, Dinklage can do no wrong. So, and I agree that he shouldn't be held back by his size. He can play any character, and maybe that's what he's gonna do. Like Singer was like, I'm gonna have this CG character, and then maybe they're gonna, have Dinklage play him, and maybe he's like 12 feet tall. Who knows?
Okay, next up on Buy or Sell, Zombieland and Gangster Squad director Ruben Fleischer has been confirmed as the director for the film Spy Hunter. The film will be based on Midway Games' popular arcade game of the 1980s, and at one point had John Woo attached to direct and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to star. Schnepp, buy or sell a Spy Hunter movie with Fleischer directing?
I say buy, simply because why not? I mean, I played Spy Hunter, the old game, and whether The Rock is in it or not, I mean, most video game adaptations need a lot of help. There aren't that many, maybe like a couple that I can list off on my fingers that are great out of the 30 or 40 that have been made. So I say, yeah, Ruben Fleischer, he did a great job with Zombieland. Why not?
I'm going to sell this. Had I not seen Gangster Squad, I would have been, buy it anyway. But I always get apprehensive about these movies that have been sitting in development hell for like 5, 6, 7 years. They've been trying to get this going. They had John Woo on. They had another director on after John Woo, whose name is eluding me right now. They had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on it, then off it, then on it, and now apparently off it again. So just because of all that put together, I'm going to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There are confirmed reports that this week, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has been shooting a large scene in a New York cemetery with an open casting call for men and women ages 18 to 70 to portray friends and family of mourning at a funeral/wake. We know from the comics that at some point Peter Parker's girlfriend Gwen Stacy dies, and he later falls in love with Mary Jane Watson, who he later marries. Knowing that, Shailene Woodley has been cast in the film as Mary Jane. John, buy or sell that this funeral scene that they're shooting is Gwen Stacy's?
I buy it, especially if they're good. They appear to be making it a big funeral scene, which to me says somewhat of a significant character. So, previously I didn't know. Ultimately, we know Gwen Stacy dies. I didn't know if it would be in this particular film, or maybe they'd wait till The Amazing Spider-Man 3 to do it. But I am buying that this is Gwen Stacy's funeral and that she dies in this film.
I don't want to buy it. I don't know. It's like can I sell and not buy it or whatever? I just think it's like, I mean, it's weird when you read the comic books and a character that has been in the comics from the beginning and then their issue 60 dies. That's traumatic, and you're like, I didn't see that coming. With a movie, it's sort of like he just started dating her, and then her dad dies. So in this movie, you're going to introduce Electro and have the Rhino and have Harry Osborn's kid, and Gwen Stacy and him are dating, and then she dies in 2 hours.
It's a tall order.
It's I mean, look, I was blown away by The Amazing Spider-Man. I thought it was really fun and great and an awesome way to reboot the character, which at first I didn't want to see it, and when I finally saw it, I was really happy with it. So, if they can do it, I think they'll be able to do it. I just don't want it to be that. I don't want it to happen.
But is it a buy or sell? Do you believe it's her funeral?
I buy it, unfortunately.
All right.
Brad Bird has directed such films as Pixar's The Incredibles and the most recent Mission Impossible movie. His next film is titled Tomorrowland and will star George Clooney. Not much is being revealed about the film, but it is being described as in the vein of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Steven Spielberg's 1978 movie about a man searching for extraterrestrials on Earth. It is now being reported that House MD star Hugh Laurie is set to be the villain in the movie. So, Schnepp, buy or sell Laurie as Tomorrowland's bad guy?
I say sell the idea that he's playing a villain in a science fiction film called Tomorrowland. I say buy that he's playing like a bad dude that Disney has to battle over land rights. I don't think it has anything to do with science fiction. I think it's about the creation of Disneyland. So whatever people's speculation is that Hugh Laurie is like some kind of crazy alien who's going to operate on you and then take drugs. I don't know I feel like I'm on drugs reading that or hearing that. So.
Yeah, well, the name, I'm going to buy this. And the reason I'm going to buy this is because I love taking these actors who we are not used to seeing as either good guys or bad guys. I mean, we've always seen Hugh Laurie as the protagonist. And I love the idea. It kind of reminds me of, who was the lead guy in 30 Rock, Third Rock from the Sun?
John Lithgow.
John Lithgow. When we first saw John Lithgow in a movie as the villain, I think it might have been in that Sylvester Stallone movie, Cliffhanger. It might have been.
I think it was Dr. Lazardo from Buckaroo Banzai.
Okay, or it could have been that. But I remember the first time I saw him as a villain, I'm like, That's awesome. And I think I'll have the same feeling with Hugh Laurie as a villain. All right, folks. Well, listen, we move into the segment now that is backed by popular demand because you asked for it. Mailbag. If you want us to ask a question on air, you can email it to us at amcmovietalk@gmail.com, and we'll pick a couple every day. You guys have been flooding us with them, so every week or two we're going to have a special mailbag edition to kind of clear through them. But today we've got two pulled. Kathy's got them out. So, Kathy, what do we got in the mailbag?
Yep. First up, Brandon King writes, "Hey guys, I've been watching AMC Movie Talk for a couple months now, and it seems pretty awesome. My question is whether or not there is a new info on Independence Day sequel. I loved the original, and I know it's being re-released in 3D soon, but I'm curious as to what they would do for the story. Also, I've heard that it's being divided into 2 parts. Is this a good idea?"
Yeah, I mean, the director of the film said they're moving ahead and they're going to do them, and there's going to be 2. And the titles for them were pretty ridiculous, and I can't remember, it's like Independence Forever or something.
Independence Forever, yeah.
Independence Forever Part 1 and Independence Forever Part 2. But the big problem has been that Will Smith, the reports are that Will Smith wanted a lot to be in the film, not just monetarily, but I think he wanted big roles for his kids. He wanted a whole bunch of stuff, and the studio's not budging, from what we understand, the last I heard. And the director said, we're going to move ahead with this with or without Will. So they're coming. What's the story going to be? I'm guessing the aliens come back one way or the other. And so, but I got to tell you, with or without Smith, I'd rather see Smith in there. I'm kind of in a self-abusive kind of way looking forward to it. What about you, Schnapp?
Didn't that come out in like 1993?
Long time ago, man.
Why make a sequel now? Just do a new movie. Why do you have to make Independence Forever and Independence Day anything? And it better be giant, is all I can say. It better be like an entire alien homeworld is coming towards Earth.
Right.
It has to be super giant and big.
Well, another question, Enrique M. writes in, "Hey guys, I've been watching your show for about 4 months and I haven't missed one. So my question is, with 2 book adaptations recently released, Safe Haven and Beautiful Creatures, I want to know, what is your favorite book adaptation?"
It sounds lame and stereotypical to say and blah, 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 but since it's like right up there my all-time favorite films, the Lord of the Rings adaptations are amazing. I mean, they're just so brilliantly done, and they're a great example of following the spirit of the books, but not chaining yourself to have to follow the books literally every single little step. You have to adapt it to work on the big screen, and Peter Jackson did such a great job with that. But 2 others really jump out to me that you got to mention. You got to talk about The Godfather if you're going to talk about novels adapted into films, and you got to talk about one of my all-time favorite films ever made, Shawshank Redemption. Such great adaptations. So, yeah, that's for me. What about you, Schnapp?
My favorite is A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
Kubrick just walked around with the book from Burgess's book and just used that as the script. Most faithful adaptation period ever of a book to a movie. So that's it, and it's one of my favorite all-time movies.
Well, listen, folks, we have run out of time, but before you do anything, stop what you're doing. Click that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, our editorials, and, of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk show. It's absolutely free, so just go ahead and click that. If you want an audio-only edition of this episode, check the description below for links to iTunes and to listen to us on Stitcher Radio. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. And before we go, I want to remind you, our special guest over here, John Schnapp, is working on this new project that you can get behind and support. So, Schnapp, just tell us quickly a little bit about Superman Lives.
Well, it's a Kickstarter that I'm running. I'm making a documentary about the never-made film that was supposed to be made in 1998. Tim Burton was going to direct it. Nicolas Cage was going to star in it. Kevin Smith and Wesley Strick had both written scripts for it. Superman Lives, and I got kind of obsessed with it over the last few years, and was like, hey, I just want to make a documentary about it. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm going to be interviewing a lot of the different people who were involved in making it, talking to all the different artists who have an amazing amount of production design art. So if you go to the Kickstarter page, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, and just watch the video that I made, you'll see a lot of the pre-production art that I've found online. And I've been getting sent a lot of new art from people just from this Kickstarter who were involved in it. So I've got a lot of stuff that I've already uncovered. So help me make the documentary. And then as a special stretch goal, I'm going to shoot and direct recreation scenes from the scripts in the style of Tim Burton. And I'm going to do old school, build miniatures, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope I get to do the stretch goals and actually do some actual recreation scenes of the Superman Lives movie. So please help pledge anything. That would be great.
And you can find a link to that Kickstarter program in the show notes below. Check for it there. I want to thank, as always, our host today, Ms. Kathy Kelly. Thank you,
Thanks
Kathy.
for having me.
Once again, our guest, Mr. John Schnepp.
Thank you.
And remember, guys, the important part of the show is not what we have to say, because what we have to say is pretty much irrelevant. The important thing is what you have to say. Jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts on any or all the topics we've discussed. Once again, thanks for joining us. My name is John Campia for AMC Movie News. Bye-bye.